Welcome to the module, Marzano's 9 High-Yield Instructional Strategies, Part 3. We are so happy to have you with us today. We value your time and appreciate your active participation during this module. Here are a few suggested learning norms to make the most of your time. If possible, work in an environment with as few distractions so you can engage and reflect. Take notes and jot down ideas and questions as needed. And lastly, use this time wisely to ensure your professional learning with university instructors is productive. Here is the agenda for this module. Review of 9 high-yield strategies, effect size. Strategy 1, setting objectives and providing feedback. Strategy 2, reinforcing effort and providing recognition. Strategy 3, cooperative learning. Strategy 4, questions, cues, and advanced organizers. Strategy 5, non-linguistic representations. And finally, summary of learning. Here are our learning objectives for this module. By the end of this module, participants will be able to understand 5 of Marzano's 9 research-based instructional strategies in depth that positively impact student achievement. Implement various methods for teaching each of these 5 strategies. Before we dive deeper into the first 5 of Marzano's 9 high-yield strategies, let's review what we mean by effect size as learned in parts 1 and 2. A meta-analysis combines the results from multiple studies to determine the average effect of a given technique. When conducting a meta-analysis, a researcher translates the results of a given study into a unit of measurement, referenced to as effect size. Effect size is a measure of the impact of a program compared to an environment without the program. Effect size, for our purposes, is used to report the contribution of an educational intervention or strategy towards student learning. The larger the effect size, the greater the academic impact on students. As we learned in parts 1 and 2 of these series, identifying similarities and differences, summarizing and note-taking, and reinforcing effort and providing recognition are the strategies that were found to have the most significant positive impact on student learning. Setting objectives and providing feedback is the first strategy that we will discuss. The practice of setting objectives emphasizes the importance of clearly stating what students are expected to learn and be able to do by the end of class, period, or content block, so that students have a clear direction and purpose for their learning. Giving timely feedback is critical. The longer the delay in giving feedback, the less likely we are to see students improve in their understanding of the content. Goal-setting contracts help individual students understand their academic performance, identify concrete goals for future performance, and collaborate with their teacher on the behaviors and practices that will help them achieve their goals. This strategy provides students with a great deal of knowledge that encourages them to take control of their learning. This goal-setting contract asks the question, what do you want to accomplish and why? This helps students to reflect, buy in, and take ownership. The contract asks for the date by which the student wants to accomplish their goal, any resources they feel are needed, challenges or obstacles they anticipate facing, and what they will do to overcome the challenges or obstacles. Students are then asked to identify specific goals and action steps they will take to accomplish the goals, as well as the rewards they would like to earn. In elementary settings, an instructor might create a goal-setting contract with a student that focuses on improving reading fluency. When asked what they want to accomplish, the student might say something like they want to read faster, and when asked why, the student's reason might be because they want to read fast like their friends. Students may need help with the by when and what resources do you need sections of the chart. So have responses in mind in case a student doesn't know what to include. They may also need some prompting when it comes to identifying challenges and obstacles. Our sample student wants to read faster by the end of the school year and will need some books to practice with and a sticker chart to track progress. Help the student set a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic goal and action steps that align. This student's goal is to read for 15 minutes every night to improve their fluency. To accomplish this goal, the student will choose a just right book each week to use for practice and practice reading aloud to a family member or classmate. Provide students with a rewards menu that includes tangible and intangible rewards and allow them to choose how they want to be rewarded for making progress towards their goal. In our example, the student chose computer time and to be the class helper as rewards. The instructor should plan to check in with the student weekly to monitor progress and provide rewards. This helps to keep the student accountable for making progress and also allows them to see and celebrate progress as they make it. By using a goal-setting contract, students develop responsibility, motivation, and self-reflection skills while working toward achievable milestones. In secondary settings, a student might create a goal-setting contract that focuses on improving a math grade. When asked what they want to accomplish, the student might say something like they want to raise their math grade from a C to a B, as their future as a doctor depends on strong math skills. Students may need help with the buy when and what resources do you need sections of the chart, so have responses in mind in case a student needs suggestions on what to include. Students may also need some prompting when it comes to identifying challenges and obstacles. Our sample student's goal is to raise his math grade from a C to a B by the end of the quarter. To accomplish this goal, he's going to have to improve his math grade by studying math assignments for 1 hour each afternoon, Monday through Friday, for 5 weeks. The instructor should plan to check in with the student weekly to monitor progress. This helps to keep the student accountable for making progress and also allows them to see and celebrate progress as they make it. By using a goal-setting contract, students develop responsibility, motivation, and self-reflection skills while working towards achievable milestones. Feedback is more strongly and consistently related to achievement than any other teaching behavior. This relationship is consistent regardless of grade, socioeconomic status, race, or school setting. Effective academic feedback is timely, specific, and actionable. It helps students understand their progress towards learning objectives and guides them on how to improve. Feedback in the form of a number or a letter grade is not specific enough to help students take action towards improvement. If a student does not understand a concept as measured through an assignment or assessment, the student should receive additional instruction on that concept and then have another opportunity to demonstrate their understanding. The goal is for the student to meet the learning objective, not to just receive a grade on a test. Asking students to keep working on a task until they succeed enhances student achievement by fostering perseverance, resilience, and a growth mindset. When students are encouraged to persist, they develop the belief that intelligence and skills can improve with effort. This counters a fixed mindset where students may give up if they initially struggle. Providing students with feedback in terms of specific levels of knowledge and skill is better than simply providing students with a percentage score. One of the powerful tools to accomplish this is a rubric. Rubrics provide instructors with the opportunity to give students feedback on specific criteria that let students know how they performed relative to a specific target. Students can get an overall score while also getting feedback that tells them the skills they have mastered and where they need to improve. Rubrics can be adapted to any content or skill. Marzano emphasizes that effective feedback should be timely, specific, and focused on improving student performance, not just praising effort or pointing out problems. We're going to look at 3 examples of common but ineffective feedback. You will rewrite them and actually help the student improve. As you revise, think about what the student needs to do differently. By concrete, feedback should answer, "What's my next step?" Stop the video at this time to jot down your answers. Here are some possible alternatives to the sample teacher comments. Good job. Your topic sentence clearly states your claim. Next, revise paragraph 2 to include text evidence that supports the claim. Number 2, add more details. Explain why the character felt betrayed. Add one sentence showing what caused the shift. You need to try harder. Your equation is set up correctly, but remember to check your work. The subtraction in step 3 is where the error occurs. Now, let's talk about reinforcing effort and providing recognition. Effort and recognition speak to the attitudes and beliefs of students. Research shows that although not all students realize the importance of effort, they can learn to change their beliefs to emphasize effort, which means it's up to the instructors to help students see the connection between effort and achievement. Students monitor their own efforts and achievement. It fosters a deeper understanding of their learning process, which leads to increased motivation, improved self-regulation, more effective goal setting, and the development of critical thinking skills. Here's an example of an effort and achievement chart that can be introduced to students as a tool to help them track their progress, reflect on their work ethic, and connect their effort to their success. Instructors can effectively introduce and implement it in the classroom by step 1, explaining the purpose. Start by discussing the relationship between effort and achievement using real-life examples, such as athletes training to improve, musicians practicing to master a song. Explain that the chart will help students see how their hard work leads to progress. Step 2, explain the chart format. This specific effort and achievement chart is probably best suited for upper elementary students, although early grades could consider developing a rubric using facial emojis rather than words. Step 3, model the process. Fill in a sample chart as a class using a recent assignment. Ask students to rate their effort honestly and compare it to their results. Guide a short discussion on the connection between effort and achievement. Step 4, set expectations. Emphasize that effort is just as important as the final grade. Encourage honesty. This chart is for self-improvement, not judgment. Let students know that they will review their charts periodically to set new goals. Step 5, regularly reflect and adjust. Have students fill in their charts weekly or after major assignments. Periodically, guide them in reviewing patterns in their effort and progress, helping them set goals to improve where needed. And step 6, celebrate growth. Recognize students who show growth and effort, not just those with high grades. This reinforces the idea that consistent effort leads to improvement. By using an effort and achievement chart, students become more self-aware, motivated, and proactive in their learning journey. Critiquing their own effort and achievement can be difficult initially, so students should be provided with rubrics along with the effort and achievement chart to guide their critique. Like other rubrics, the achievement rubric can be modified to include specific knowledge and skills. The effort rubric can be modified for different levels of student understanding, but must only include statements related to effort. Now we will watch a quick video on positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is the act of rewarding a positive behavior in order to encourage it to happen again in the future. It's a way to provide recognition for a student displaying the actions you want to see, either academically or behaviorally. Let's take a look at a fun example of positive reinforcement in the following video. As you watch the video, consider other methods of positive reinforcement that you might use with your students.
Oh, am I talking too much? I'm sorry. Zip.
Thank you. Chocolate?
Yes, please. Oh, hey, Kim. Yeah, you know what? Hold on. Let me take this in the hall. You'll never guess who they got to replace me with.
Okay. I know what you're doing.
Really?
Yes. You're using chocolates as positive reinforcement for what you consider correct behavior.
Very good. Chocolate?
No, I don't want
That was a fun example. There are many positive reinforcement techniques we can use that don't involve tangible rewards. In fact, it is better that we limit the use of external rewards to try to increase our students' intrinsic or internal motivation. What are some methods of positive reinforcement that you currently use or plan on using in the future? Stop to jot down your thoughts. Possible responses: verbal praise, specific behavior-based feedback, classroom reward systems, earning privileges, call-outs or shout-outs, positive notes or emails, stickers, stamps, or badges. Here are some guidelines for reinforcing effort and providing praise and recognition. Number 1, show your approval verbally or non-verbally by naming the student specifically. I can tell that you worked really hard on your homework, Rochelle, because you completed all the problems and showed your work while giving her a thumbs up. Number 2, describe the positive behavior you observed. Be specific about the behavior the student demonstrated, which led to the praise. Rochelle, I like how you helped Michael pick up his crayons when they fell on the floor. Or, thank you, Michael, for entering class quietly and starting your warm-up. Number 3, describe how using this good behavior will help the student. When you help your classmates like that, Rochelle, it shows them that you care. Or, staying on task shows respect for your classmates who are also working, Michael. Consider an example. Mr. Mulder circulates as students are working in small groups during station rotation. He pauses at station 1 and comments, "Nice work on your calculations." At station 2, he says, "Good job on your graphs, Beth. I can clearly see your data points, which will help you solve the equation." At station 3, he says, "Great progress." Now, evaluate his statements according to the guidelines we just discussed. Determine if the recognition he provided was effective or ineffective, and cite the specific guidelines that support your answer. Pause the video to think about this example. Possible answers would be Station 1, ineffective. He does not specifically identify which students are being praised, doesn't specifically identify what defines nice work, and doesn't say how, how they are doing will help them. Station 2, effective. He clearly identifies the student receiving the praise and explains what was good about her graphs and how it will help her with the assignment. At station 3, it was ineffective. He does not identify a specific student or mention what progress was going well. Let's consider another example. Mrs. Lee circulates as students are working independently. She pauses at a student's desk and says, "You did a really good job finding the main idea and supporting details in the text, Stephen. I know you've had difficulties with nonfiction passages before, but your practice with reading is paying off." Evaluate Mrs. Lee's statements according to the guidelines. Determine if the recognition she provided was effective or ineffective, and cite the specific guidelines that support your answer. Pause the video again to examine this example. Answer: effective. She specifies the individual student and specifically what action prompted the praise. Praise of effort helps students see how the behavior will help in the future. Let's take a minute to reflect on the following questions. How do you currently recognize effort in your classroom? What recognition practices might unintentionally reward only high achievers? And what changes could you make to your recognition more equitable and effort-based? Stop the video to write down your reflections. Here are some possible responses. For prompt 1, I verbally acknowledge when students persist through difficult tasks. I use an effort rubric and have students self-assess, or I write specific effort-based comments on student work. For number 2, displaying only the highest test scores on the wall or chart, giving awards for perfect attendance, highest grades, or fastest completion, and calling out students who finished first or perform best instead of those who persisted. And number 3, shift from praising outcomes to praising strategies and persistence. Give recognition for improvement, not just perfect work, and celebrate students who take academic risks or attempt challenging tasks. The next strategy that we will review is cooperative learning. Research shows that organizing students into cooperative groups yields a positive effect on overall learning. There is much more to cooperative learning than merely arranging students into groups, and it has been described as structuring positive interdependence. In cooperative learning, students work in groups to complete tasks collectively towards academic goals. The most successful cooperative learning tasks are intellectually demanding, creative, open-ended, and involve higher order thinking tasks. Unlike individual learning, which can be competitive in nature, students who are learning cooperatively can capitalize on one another's resources and skills by asking one another for information, evaluating one another's ideas, monitoring each other's work, and etc. The instructor's role changes from giving information to facilitating student learning. You become the guide on the side instead of being the sage on the stage. With cooperative learning, everyone succeeds when the group succeeds. Cooperative learning is essential in education because it promotes academic, social, and emotional growth by encouraging students to work together towards shared goals. Here's why cooperative learning is important. Cooperative learning encourages positive interdependence, or a sense of sinking or swimming together as a group. It encourages a sense of community and belonging among students, reducing competition and promoting support and inclusivity. Cooperative learning helps students recognize the value of different perspectives and diverse ideas. It encourages face-to-face interaction by encouraging students to listen, express ideas, and give feedback. It also encourages respectful disagreement and compromise in group settings and helps students develop confidence in speaking and working with others. Both individual and group accountability are an important part of cooperative learning. Each member must contribute to the group in order to meet group goals. This prepares students for real-world situations where teamwork is essential. Cooperative learning encourages students to share responsibility for group success and teaches the importance of accountability and fulfilling one's role in a team. Interpersonal and small group skills are developed through cooperative learning. Students build self-awareness by reflecting on personal contributions to the group, learn conflict resolution skills in a constructive way, and develop empathy and cooperation as students help one another. Finally, group processing allows students to learn from their peers and reinforces concepts through discussion. Critical thinking and problem-solving skills are also emphasized as students collaborate on solutions. Some examples of effective and structured cooperative learning strategies. In the jigsaw strategy, also called the expert group strategy, students in home groups of 4 are assigned a number, 1 through 4. They leave their home groups to form new groups that only include students who have the same number. Students work in these new groups to become experts on specific topics or subcategories of a lesson. They then return to their home group to teach their peers what they've learned, ensuring that each group member understands the content. In the numbered heads together approach, the teacher divides the class into 4-person teams and assigns each number to a person, 1 through 4. The teacher asks a question for the group to discuss. The teacher then calls a number, and only the student with that number raises their hand to respond. This structure facilitates positive interdependence while promoting individual accountability. 4 corners is a strategy in which the teacher presents a question, problem, or topic with 4 possible responses and assigns each response to a corner of the room. Students choose a corner based on their answer or preference and then discuss their reasoning with their peers who have also chosen the same response. This strategy can be used to assess or introduce a topic or to show different perspectives or solutions. In the carousel strategy, students are broken up into groups. The teacher places chart paper with different questions around the room. Each group is assigned a different color marker and rotates to each poster answering the questions together as a group. Think, Pair, Share is a collaborative learning strategy that encourages all students to stay actively engaged. Students think individually about a topic or answer to a question. Then they discuss their thoughts with a partner. Finally, students share their ideas with the whole class or larger group. 3 stay, 1 stray. Students are placed into groups of 4 and each student is assigned a number, 1 through 4. The teacher gives students a question to answer or a concept to discuss. After groups have completed their discussion or answered the question, and everyone feels that they understand what was discussed, the teacher calls a number and the student assigned that number will stray from their group to join a new group and share what their original group discussed. The new group should ask questions and engage in additional discussion. The teacher then poses a new question and repeats the process, each time calling a different number to stray. Previous practice has suggested several cautions to be aware of in order to maximize cooperative learning success. Students will and should talk throughout cooperative learning activities. After all, the point is to share ideas, right? Instructors need to have eyes and ears on students during this time in order to assist with student focus as needed. Number 2, small groups should have no more than 3 to 4 students. If the small group gets any larger, the group will accomplish less work. Number 3, submission of student work, a product, is required. And number 4, instructors must ensure individual accountability for each student within the group. This addresses the issue of some students taking over the group while others just jot down the answers. Cooperative learning only works when structures are intentionally designed. Marzano emphasizes that clear roles, individual accountability, and norms dramatically increase the effectiveness of group work. On this slide, you see 4 of the most common pitfalls that happen during cooperative learning. When one student takes over a task, when another checks out, when the group slips into off-task talk, or when the workload is unevenly shared. For this activity, choose one pitfall and brainstorm how to fix it using Marzano's recommended supports: roles, group goals, individual accountability, clear expectations, and structured talk routines. You don't need a perfect solution, just something an instructor could implement tomorrow. Stop the video to jot down your answers. Here are some possible answers. Pitfall 1. Assign roles like facilitator, recorder, and presenter so one person can't take over the entire task. Use structured turn-taking protocols such as round robin or talking chips. Provide sentence stems that require contributions from every group member, and require a group product that reflects input from all roles. For Pitfall 2, give every student an interdependent role they are responsible for. Set up individual accountability. Each student must submit their part or answer a question. And use numbered heads together so any group member might be called on. Design tasks where each student has unique information that others need, such as jigsaw style. Pitfall 3, use time limits and visible timers to create urgency and focus. Assign a timekeeper or on-task monitor role. Break the task into smaller checkpoints so groups stay on track. Give a clear, cooperative structure instead of open-ended group work. For Pitfall 4, use rubrics that assess both group and individual performance. Create role cards with specific tasks for each member. Build in checkpoints where group members verify each other's contributions. And design tasks where each part is essential, such as each person handles one piece of the problem. Let's look at the next strategy: questions, cues, and advanced organizers. Cues, questions, and advanced organizers help students use what they already know about a topic to enhance further learning. Cues provide hints about the lesson's content, while questions help teachers assess what students already know. Advanced organizers provide a framework to help students organize concepts before a lesson. The technique in this category of instructional strategies helps students retrieve what they already know about a topic, often referred to as activating prior knowledge. Research shows that these tools should be highly analytical, should focus on what is important, and are most effective when presented before a learning experience. Questions that are designed for deeper understanding increase student interest. And because questioning is such an important strategy, we need to ensure that we are intentional about the content and rigor of the questions we ask. The chart on the right shows the continuum of questioning from those that require the use of lower order thinking skills, such as remembering and understanding, to those that require students to use higher order thinking skills, such as applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. As often as possible, questions should require students to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create information rather than simply knowing and understanding it. Advanced organizers bridge the gap between the student and what they already know and what they need to know. Advanced organizers are most useful with information that is not well organized, and, like cues and questions, should also focus on what's important. Different advanced organizers produce different results, with higher level advanced organizers producing deeper understandings. Let's look a little deeper into higher level questioning. Notice how the questioning becomes more complex at each level. When students are asked to remember, they are being asked to recall basic information. Remember questions are questions like, what date was the Declaration of Independence signed? Or what is the formula for perimeter? When students are asked to understand level questions, they are being asked to show you they understand the material, often by explaining or paraphrasing. These types of questions sound like, summarize the main events in the story in your own words, or explain the concept of photosynthesis. When students are asked questions at the apply level, they are being asked to apply knowledge to new situations or problems. These questions sound more like, how would you use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the missing side? Or, using what you've learned about the water cycle, draw an illustration that explains why it rains. When students are asked questions requiring analysis, they are being asked to break down information and identify key parts, arguments, or relationships. Examples of analyze level questions are: what are the similarities and differences between, and how does the character's journey contribute to the resolution of the story? When students are asked to evaluate level questions, they are being asked to make judgments and form opinions, often with supporting evidence. These questions should sound like, which approach to solving this problem is more effective? Or, how would you justify the character's actions throughout the story? Finally, when students are asked questions at the create level, they are being asked to create something new or innovative, such as a product or presentation. This may sound like asking students to design a solution to the problem of students not having enough time to eat lunch, or write a short story based on the theme of friendship. Now we're going to focus on personal reflection using what Marzano calls the question ladder. The idea is to take a moment to consider your own questioning practices and how they influence student thinking. Here's how it works. First, complete the sentence stems. A question I often ask is, this will help you identify your typical patterns. And I could make this question higher level by, this prompt asks you to think about increasing cognitive demand. Stop the video to write down your answers. For number one, a question I often ask is, what is the main idea of this paragraph? Who are the characters in this story? What year did this event happen? Can you define this term? And what is the formula for calculating area? Possible answers for the second sentence stem is, instead of asking the main idea, ask, how does the main idea connect to the author's purpose? Instead of asking who the characters are, ask, compare and contrast the motivations of the two main characters. Instead of asking for a date, ask, predict what might have happened if this event occurred differently. Instead of defining a term, ask, how would you apply this concept to solve a real-world problem? And instead of giving the formula, ask, explain why this formula works and create a problem where it can be applied. Non-linguistic representations is the last strategy we will discuss in this module. Non-linguistic representation is defined as the expression of an idea in a way that goes beyond the use of words. Well, according to the dual coding theory of information storage, knowledge is stored in two forms, linguistic and visual. The more students use both formulas in the classroom, the better they can recall and process knowledge. The use of non-linguistic representation has proven to not only stimulate, but also increase brain activity. Research indicates that students should engage in a variety of activities to produce non-linguistic representations in order to assimilate knowledge. Creating graphic organizers, making physical models, generating mental pictures, drawing pictures, and engaging in kinesthetic activity are all ways that student learning can be increased through the use of non-linguistic representations. Graphic organizers involve two forms of information storage, the linguistic mode with words and the non-linguistic mode with arrows and symbols to represent relationships. You may be familiar with some of the graphic organizers shown here. The concept map graphic organizer shown on the top left is also known as the descriptive organizer. This graphic organizer can be used to show a relationship between specific persons, places, things, or events when no particular chronological order is needed. This contrasts with the chronological and sequence organizer shown below it. Chronological order organizes events based on when they occur. Sequential order refers to the arrangement of steps in a process or event that can happen at any time and are not bound by time. These two terms, chronological and sequence, are often interchanged. but that's an error as they do not mean the same thing. A compare and contrast graphic organizer, such as the Venn diagram shown top right, creates a visual representation of similarities and differences between two or more concepts, people, items, or events. Finally, the generalization or principle organizer shown at the bottom on the right helps students organize information into general statements with supporting examples. This is a version of the graphic organizer that is often used for students to capture the main idea and supporting details of the text. Physical model represents the physical structure of an object or a system. Physical models generally look and act like the object or system they represent. In the picture on the left, students are using pictures of the planets to correctly indicate positions of the planets within the solar system. In the picture on the right, a student has created a physical model of a cube using pipe cleaners. Manipulatives are concrete objects that can be viewed and physically handled by students in order to demonstrate or model abstract concepts. They provide a bridge between the concrete, where facts and descriptions about tangible objects and experiences can be directly observed, and abstract thinking. A mental process that goes beyond the visible, is more complex, and requires deeper analysis and reflection. Manipulatives have been found to increase student engagement, interest, confidence, and problem-solving skills. Having students generate mental pictures requires them to connect to the topic being studied on a deeper level. Students put themselves in a scene from a story, a time in history, or at a location other than where they actually are, and use past experiences alongside text to engage their working memory and create stronger, more distinct traces in the brain, leading to better recall of information. Let's give an example. Mr. Williams' fifth grade class is beginning a unit on Native American cultures in the Southwest United States. To begin, Mr. Williams introduces his students to the strategy of creating mental pictures and ideas. He tells them to imagine that they are early European explorers who have stumbled on the abandoned cliff palace of Mesa Verde. He has them close their eyes and imagine that they are traveling by horseback through the canyon lands. He had students feel the hot desert sunlight, see the scrubby vegetation, and smell the junipers and pines. He then has them complete a graphic organizer that connects what they might smell, hear, taste, touch, and see. Did you create a mental picture during Mr. Williams' description of the Mesa Verde? Allow students to create drawings, pictographs, and infographics to represent ideas, especially those that are abstract or that cannot be easily observed. For example, students can be asked to draw a picture of what happens during photosynthesis, or a picture of how the Earth's position causes the seasons. Asking students to draw and label pictures not only provides them with a way to connect the words they heard or read with a visual, but also provides the instructor with the opportunity to gauge the student's understanding and provide specific feedback. Have you ever wondered why it's hard to concentrate when all you're doing is reading or listening? Perhaps you are a kinesthetic learner and you learn best through action. People understand process and retain information better through movement, action, and hands-on experiences. Think of it as learning by doing rather than learning by just watching or hearing. For example, if you are teaching angles in math, have the students use their arms to make acute, right, or obtuse angles. Teach them a song or a handshake and get them actively involved. Have students develop creative ways to learn a word or a concept. Have students create a way to model the three primary types of tectonic plate boundaries: divergent, convergent, and transform boundaries by using their hands. Students will make connections to this activity when they are asked to recall this content information in another scenario, such as a standardized test. Should plan for and consistently use non-linguistic representations in their lesson design and delivery. Let's pause to reflect. What are some non-linguistic activities that best connect to your current subject or content area, such as graphic organizers, manipulatives, and physical models, generating mental pictures, drawing pictures, or engaging in kinesthetic activities? And how can you incorporate them into your lessons? Pause the video at this time to reflect. Some non-linguistic activities could be using graphic organizers, diagrams, or concept maps to visually represent ideas, have students draw, sketch, or model key concepts, and incorporating movement or hands-on activities such as manipulatives, gestures, or simulations. And how can you incorporate them? Begin or end lessons with a quick visual task such as sketching, mapping, or diagramming learning. Integrate hands-on or movement-based practice during instruction to reinforce concepts, and use models or visuals as part of checks for understanding or small group work. We have covered a lot of content, so let's review. Today we covered several essential Marzano strategies to enhance teaching and learning. First, setting clear and measurable objectives combined with timely, specific feedback also helps students understand where they are and what steps they need to take next. Reinforcing effort means recognizing persistence and effective strategies, not just correct answers, and celebrating student growth over time. Cooperative learning thrives when we assign structured roles that promote interdependence and hold all group members accountable, ensuring equitable participation. With questioning techniques, we encourage higher level thinking by promoting analysis, evaluation, and creation while scaffolding questions and allowing wait time to deepen student responses. Lastly, non-linguistic representations such as visuals, diagrams, models, and symbols support student understanding and memory, providing multiple pathways for learners to grasp and retain content. We hope you enjoyed this module on Marzano's 9 High-Yield Strategies, Part 3. Please complete the Check for Understanding, the CFU, and the survey included in the Google Classroom. Thank you, and we look forward to providing continued support for your professional growth at University Instructors.